Welcome back to Mini RPG of the Week, the Season 3 finale, where the quarterfinals are over, and we're kind of the bloodbath that we expected, Boney. The top 16 was stacked, and we somehow had to cut it down to a top 8, and in doing so, we've lost a lot of very good players.
Yeah, it's bound to happen, right? Usually with double elimination situations, you won't be too worried because it's only the first round; they'll be fine. Single elimination, not so much. No, we are very brutal, very harsh when it comes to cutting players out of the tournament. I mean, just from 16 to 8 like that, and with the 8 players remaining: Artis, Wallagen, Marius, Yannick in one, Ice, Reisling, Skandir, and Heave in the other. I mean, I feel just as unsure about calling out winners in this one as I did in the previous rounds. These matches are just stacked as can be. This time, though, it's going to be cup mode. This time, if there is a big boss, as we saw Skandir be in the previous round, at least there is still that potential to get first place. But, I mean, it's cup mode, Still first 2 players moving on.
It is. We will be playing up with the same points repartition as the previous round. So 10 points for first place, 6 for second, 4 for third, and 3 for fourth. With this time, the difference being that the limit is going to be 120 points. So the first player to 120 points, and then winning a round, very important in cup mode. You enter finalist mode and you have to win a round after that in order to actually lock in your place. And as you say, top 2 will move on. So 120 points and then do that, and it'll be fine. We're going to be playing 4 rounds per map this time around as well, rather than 5. So we will get to see all of the maps, hopefully, over the course of it as well. Because we did see last time around, across 25 rounds with 5 rounds per map, Skandir managed to break 200 points. So there were 250 points available. It would have been Skandir, getting to finalist mode by map 3, I think, then, last time?
Yeah, pretty much.
Kind of nuts.
It's in that sense just ridiculous. I mean, obviously with the extra round per map, but even it's the fact that 37 points away from the maximum just goes to show how solid he was driving. And I mean, right now facing off against Ice, Reisling, and Heave. I mean, he already was able to show Heave how he is able to drive, and maybe Ice and Reisling are going to be a bit surprised compared to how Skandir was driving yesterday, and like, oh wait, yeah, okay, I remember who you are now. You're that TMGL guy. I know.
Yep. And it's just, I'm still stuck on kind of that quarterfinal, and the fact that only one of the matches actually went in seed order as well. And there's some arguments to be made there about, like, some of the players, Skandir, for example, I think very much coasted a little bit yesterday, knew that as long as he managed to lock in top 16, he was probably going to be fine today in the quarterfinal, no matter who he came up against, as he then went on to prove. But I mean, we lost Goliath, 4th place in that other match that we have Ice and Raceland coming through, and Goliath's been doing really well in Mini RPG of the Week. Actually, in the weekly competitions, did very well yesterday as well, so just goes to show the level of competition is high, it is fierce, and we are going to have a stacked final, pretty much no matter what happens. Do you have any predictions, Boney, about who the 4 finalists may end up being from these 2 semis?
I mean, it's so, taking 2 players from the first and second, I already was looking at Artis to be one of those players, just overall great times on the leaderboards, while at the same time yesterday as well. Doing a great job. Not every map really going his way, but clearly is able to go fast when he needs to. Alongside that, other player from that one, it's tough because yesterday, like, Marius just wasn't really showing off how fast he was until Red Forest, where he just started to pop off. But at the same time with Wallagen and Yannick in there, so I would say Yannick. I mean, I just, because I honestly I could have easily said any of the other 2 names. Well, as on the other match, I mean, Skandir, I feel like just a no-brainer with the way he's doing. I mean, that's just it's just there. But I mean, maybe Ice is then the one to do it, right? Maybe what we haven't seen is
the pace there. I agree with you. I think Heave looked beatable in the last match. Now, part of that is just because Skandir was driving out of sight. Like, was absolutely out of his skin over the course of that. Incredible times. Set times multiple times that would have been world records if Skandir wasn't like 0.2 to half a second clear of everyone already on the leaderboard. Like, is incredibly fast. And that did kind of, by extension, make Heave look a little bit slower. And Heave definitely wasn't in that match. Drove multiple kind of top 5 times for the online leaderboards on different maps as well. But I do still think that Heave was making enough mistakes that if Ice or Raistlin shows up and is both quick and consistent, there's definitely a chance that one of them could take the second place in this match.
I think, I mean, we saw Friesen, for example. Friesen was a map where Heave, I think, was at his most vulnerable. Just whether it was in the corkscrew section, it was also the final checkpoint, causing some issues, just not having enough speed to actually make the gap, that jump across. As maps are randomly selected, you know, it definitely could be a bit of a situation where, one bad map could put him in a bad spot. And right now, with, you know, Raistlin and Ice also just lurking over him, I don't think he can afford that situation. So I'm guessing he's hoping that map won't appear until map 4 or 5, just to make sure he can get in position. That he feels a bit more comfortable in. But, you know, that's hopeful thinking, I suppose. I mean, we all need a little bit of hopium from time to time. But, you know, at the end of the day, you just got to drive fast and try to win. And hopefully not get too much in the way of yourself, which can very easily happen during these rounds, these matches.
Yep. Going to be fun. We are getting very close to going live in this match. It is going to be our second semi-final. The other semi-final, if you're interested in watching it, the reason we're covering this one is because Yannex is playing in the other one. And Yannex, luckily for us, is streaming. So there is a record of both semi-finals out there at the moment. Marius might actually be streaming as well. I haven't checked. Marius is streaming as well. So there's 2 players in the other semi-final currently streaming. Honestly, who knows? Maybe Artis or Wallagen are streaming as well. Just go and check it out. You'll definitely be able to find other POVs of these matches in the Trackmania directory here on Twitch. But we're going to be sticking with our match here between Ice, Raistlin, Skandir, and Heave. Skandir, definitely our favorite to go through this one, is driving absolutely incredibly. It is mini RPG, and yeah, it's just Skandir. But Ice, Heave, and Raistlin, the battle for second place is going to be fierce.
Definitely. Heave, for now, will be kicking things off in first place, but Skandir just coming out of the woodworks as he tends to do. Let's look how this 180 turn goes, as Raistlin and Ice actually losing a bit of speed, but Ice with a better gear right there does overtake Raistlin for a bit. Still all to play for as Raistlin skips the flip. We have seen that happen yesterday as well, where players intentionally get a bit of an awkward angle across that jump to make sure they don't do that backflip. Unfortunately, not really paying off for him, as in the second sector right after he does end up crashing. So we're left with three players fighting for first place, and Skandir looking to get 10 points to open things out.
Yeah, shocking how that happens.
Yeah,
so
didn't see that one coming.
Will cross the line. It's a first place. It's a 52.2. It's a great time from Skandir. Heave will take second place. Ice taking third, and Raistlin taking fourth. And now it's only the first round, so I don't want to get all doom and gloom or overanalyze what's just happened. But I think Heave has the unfair advantage of the fact that he had Skandir in his quarterfinal as well, and so is kind of just more ready for a stupidly fast pace, and has kind of been pushing in that quarterfinal heavily already.
Yeah, unfortunately there Ice went a bit too wide. I mean, these grass blocks sometimes feel a lot more slippery than they appear to be, knowing this is grass and not ice, but it is Ice who out himself sliding out a tiny bit there. Skandir actually falling out of that top two, allowing Raistlin to overtake and Heave right behind. A little bit of a reverse situation happening. Only Ice, the one who unable to really make something work for him, as the gaps between everyone quite big. There's not a lot that can happen, I think, at this point to make things go bad for Raistlin's first place.
Is a little bit slower than Heave. It's going to be close to the line. I think Heave might have him. He's caught him. Potentially. By 30, 100, 30,000. I don't know. It's close.
Yeah.
Very, very close. And very close as well to Skandir's round-winning time the last time around. So kind of not just a case that Skandir was slower. Everyone else did speed up, and everyone else showing pace here immediately on the map.
Yeah, just I mean, coming out of the starting blocks, right? Everybody does seem to be quite close together, but I mean that attack from Heath there as well. I think Raceland may have played it a bit too safe, felt a bit too comfortable.
Yeah.
But yeah, Heath has been doing what we have seen him do during those quarterfinals as well, where he does everything that he needs to do to make it across the finish line as fast as possible, especially at the end, just fully risking. This time around, in a duel between him and Skandir fighting for second as Raceling, once again in first place.
Yeah, the first 3 rounds here on Red Forest of this semi-final already delivering. Now, there's going to be good speed for Heath down this hill. Should be able to catch Skandir, but it'll depend on the line towards the finish a little bit. And Skandir has absolutely nailed it. Can Skandir catch Raceland? He might have done so. Will manage to overtake Raceland at the line. And I don't know what it is about this map, but these finishes are insane.
Raceland must be kicking himself. I mean, a second time in first place by quite a bit, and then loses it again. I'd be frustrated.
That Raceland has lost in the final 5 car lengths of this map in the last 2 rounds, and that's the difference between like first place and third place at the moment.
Yeah, we're talking narrow margins here, and especially with that ending on Red Forest. A bit of a bad landing can cause you to lose so much speed and allow anyone behind you to catapult past you. You've seen that happen twice already. Fortunately, this time Raceland will not be as comfortable in first place. Instead, Skandir and Heath once again in that duel, this time dueling for first place. And with this ending throwing so many wrenches into the plans of these players, maybe Heath this time around taking out the lead, but will Skandir now be the one to catapult forward? Very curious to see. No, Heath doesn't slow down.
No, he should be fine for Heath, as long as he doesn't crash the finish. 51.9 is quick as well from Heath. Skandir just a few tenths behind. Ice in third place, and a disappointing fourth place then for Raceland in this round. Raceland, by a matter of literally a couple of thousandths, is going to leave this map in a fairly distant third place, but it could have been, maybe should have been, so much closer.
Yeah, it's just a very unfortunate series of events that caused him to be in the position that he is in right now. He clearly has that speed to get first place on Red Forest, but every single time that he was in that position, the ending just failed him. This time around, though, great 4-way race, everybody close together. Ice barely making that backflip happen, as he still does find himself in fourth. Considering he was able to come out first place during his match, somewhat surprised to see him struggle as much as he is at the moment.
Ooh, Raceland is going to have to double respawn that, and all of a sudden Ice is up into third place, a little bit far away from Heath maybe to make the snipe happen, but this is really good speed from Ice, and I think will catch him. No, has slid out, will full crash the end, and all of a sudden Raceland is through. Ice will take fourth instead, and Skandir picks up another 10 points.
Ice really went for it there. He saw his opportunity. He saw he had a bit more speed. Just unfortunate that he found himself on the wrong side of the beams right there. So, ending things on Red Forest with that. We do see Skandir in the lead, but not even that big of a lead, right? Considering how well he was playing during quarters, it could have easily been bigger, but at the same time, Heath has been doing he saw his opportunity. He saw he had a bit more speed. Just unfortunate that he found himself on the wrong side of the beams right there. So, ending things on Red Forest with that. We do see Skandir in the lead, but not even that big of a lead, right? Considering how well he was playing during quarters, it could have easily been bigger, but...
Red Forest, so, no problems. It's just slightly different, but it does mean that we're going to be getting... it's probably going to be map 3 and 4, really, where this match is decided.
Yeah, I mean, there is always the reverse sweep potential, depending on whatever the maps may be, maps 4 and 5, but as you say, especially with the way everybody's been driving, I wouldn't be surprised if we get our first finalist in the end of map 3 heading into map 4. For now, though, Skandir and Heath once again dueling for first place, though Skandir has been growing quite a big lead over Heath right now. Great line into the engine off block. and Skandir showing off why he is one of the fastest of Gymnasium.
Yeah, Skandir just incredibly quick, and it's a great start for him. Now, it's a good middle section for Raceland, who will overtake Heave. It's, in fact, a full crash for Heave. And Ice, who was about 6 seconds behind, may or may not catch up. Skandir crosses the line in first place. Raceland takes second, and the question is, how close is Ice to Heave? Close enough that if there's a mistake from Heave, Ice will take it. Heave, though, is cleanly through the line, and Ice will take a 4th place. Was Skandir, once again, maybe unsurprisingly, taking first, and similar to the quarterfinal, it is kind of just having the effect of compressing the rest of the field a little bit.
Yeah, just very much making sure that because the difference between points at the lower placements allows the gap to not grow as big as it could have been. I think Heave in his 2nd place at the moment is mainly due to the fact that he was able to get a couple of these first places during Red Forest. For now, though, not looking as clean as he was there, as it is a fight between Raceling and Skandir for first place. This engine off block usually can lead to big gaps, as you see Skandir getting a big lead out of it, and Heave actually overtaking Raceling there as well. Heading into the 2nd sector, it does look like Raceling is going to have to struggle for getting more points. I mean, it's just unfortunate to see Ice crash so often.
Yeah. Just really struggling with the change in format from it. Ooh, that's dangerous. Heave will still make it through. Raceland, once again, in 3rd place. And yeah, I mean, look, a bit of a change of format from the quarterfinal to semi-final. There are a couple of players I kind of, Marius obviously came first in that quarterfinal, beating out Yannick's. And I think part of that is, look, we talk about Marius being the consistent guy, being the safe meister so often. And so that kind of rounds format previously, definitely one that you'd expect Marius to shine in, because, he's just looking to consistently maximize points rather than maybe push very aggressively on any individual round. But here in the semi-finals, you are going to have to look for first places sometimes. You are really going to have to push it as you reach that points limit. And so some players are going to struggle with a little bit more, and Ice at the moment definitely does seem to be kind of slow on the adjustment.
Yeah, it's the risks that he is taking haven't really been paying off too much, and he needs to make sure he ramps up that amount of risk, right? Ramps up that amount of taking lines that may not be as safe as they usually would be, as Skandir and Heave just completely out of it, just out of sight, out of mind. Skandir, again, driving a 46.5, like it's no big deal. Ice and Raceland just gonna have to settle for another 3rd and 4th place, and while Heave hasn't been able to replicate the speed that he has on Red Forest, just getting 2nd places right now over and over and over is going to do wonders for him, and keeping the gap nice and big between him and Raceland. Look at that. That is 17 points difference already. That is a tough hill to climb.
Heave in chat asking what?
I can't speak French.
That is Heave going like, what the hell is this regular time coming out from Skandir? And Skandir saying lol. Because yeah, Boney, you're never going to believe what I'm about to tell you, but on that last round, Skandir set a time that would have been world record if Skandir wasn't 4/10 faster than everyone else. And he is regularly hitting those times. He is within kind of a 10th consistently of the best time anyone else has been able to set. Now, won't be so much on this round, and all of a sudden a chance maybe for someone to gain some points, and maybe for Raceland to close that gap back to 2nd place a little bit. Ooh, Heave, definitely going to be a chance for Raceland to catch up.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that line from Heave, really wanted to make sure to not have any airtime whatsoever, and Skandir actually looking to overtake Ice, and Ice misses the jump. Oh, that could have helped out a ton, but instead he is left to taste the bitter defeat. Another 4th place, which could have been 2nd. I mean, it's maybe he felt the pressure. Maybe he looked behind him like, oh no, there's Skandir.
If there's anything that'd scare me, it is Skandir suddenly appearing behind me and round. After he's made a big mistake, you're like, wait, why is he still so close? Yeah. Oh god. Throw your car into a wall. It's the only reasonable thing to do at that point. Try to get away. It has been the story, unfortunately, of Ice's match so far, I think, very much that the opportunities that Ice has had have been thrown away. A couple of times when the possibility for a 2nd or even a 1st was there, Ice has just kind of choked at the finish line, unfortunately, and not being able to convert it into those points. Yeah,
when it matters most, dropping the ball. I mean, that is pretty much the difference between playing offline and, practicing for a tournament versus actually being in match and having to make these times count. and he's very much falling victim to that in the situation. Skandir again, just I'm not even gonna.
It's just stupid.
Acknowledge
it's actually just so dumb how quick Skandir is on this map. Like, it's scary.
Yeah,
I mean, Heave has had a great map as well. Obviously, he's not setting regular times under 57 seconds like Skandir is, but has been locking up those second places more often than not on Gymnasium. So very, very solid so far for Heave. As, oh, look, it's the starting soon screen. it's pretty. That'll remind us of what's going on. But we will be heading into map 3 shortly between these 4 players. Skandir currently up, I believe, at about 70 points on this one. Heave sitting in second place pretty comfortably as well. And it is then up to Raceland and Ice to maybe make the comeback happen. Raceland is definitely close enough to Heave that one good map could get them back into it.
Yeah, and perhaps Tron will be the one to do it for him as well. I mean, this is the map where we have seen the most diverse lines in the opening sections of the map. Very curious to see Skandir once again going for that outside line. Heave this time around doesn't go for it, perhaps feels a bit comfortable in doing that, but again, these engine off block sections, throwing 2 players over it, other 2 players taking the quarter pipelines there, but Skandir having the lead, Eve right behind with Ice following suit. Oh, and Ice, unfortunate with a crash into the checkpoint right there. It does look like his fight for second place is being cut short.
And I mean, just looking at how this match is playing out so far as well, Boney, you kind of gotta feel a little bit for Liker, who came very close to catching Heave, and all of a sudden Heave and Skandir are really putting it to their opponents in this semi-final. Could have been a very strong performance for Liker, but did drop out to these 2 in the quarterfinal instead. And there you go. That'll be another round win for Skandir. It'll be another second place for Heave. And it will be another very quick time as well for Skandir. 55.664 is fast here on Throne.
Yeah. I mean, in general, whenever I see fast times being driven, it's like, well, I can't drive those, but that's okay. That's why I'm talking about the game instead of playing the game. But yeah, no, Skandir's consistency is just it's just in a world of its own. Considering what he did yesterday and how he's playing now, just being an entirely different player, an entirely different person. Has somebody check the camera to see if yesterday it wasn't his little brother and now he's actually playing himself. Whatever it may be, it's paying off in dividends. Once again, just finding himself, was in first place. Think had a bit of an issue there going through the checkpoint as Heave overtakes. But yeah, I mean, Skandir and Heave looking to simply outmatch Ice and Raceling, who, while they do have the speed, right, they have shown that they have that capacity, they're just not consistent.
Yeah, good recovery from Skandir. That could have gone very wrong, but managed to find a line that would allow him to take that quarter pipe still, and should still be able to lock up second place. That's very quick from Heave. A 56.6 is going to be good enough for first place in this round, and is going to move even further away from Ice and Raceland. Raceland in particular, with the 4th place in that round, has allowed this gap to open up to a full 23 points to second place. Heave really starting to push to lock in that final spot.
Yeah, Skandir with that as well. First one to break the triple digits, just 18 points away of that finalist. I mean, 3rd map. I'd be surprised if he doesn't secure that finalist spot right here and now. And I mean, if he is driving as well as he has been throughout the match, he could potentially even close it out right here, right now. Right now, though, it is Raceland who is keeping Skandir away from getting into that situation, who is driving a phenomenal round. Skandir risks it a tiny bit too much, does find himself grinding onto the block right there, and with a crash, resets out. So Raceling and Ice looking to jostle up the scores a tiny little bit. I mean, this is only one round, but if this is one of many, then potentially this is their second win that they've been looking for.
Yeah, and remember, this isn't rounds mode, this is cup mode. So even if we do see Heave get to 120 points ahead of Raceland. It isn't over just yet. Raceland will still be able to make the comeback happen, and that is a pretty big point swing back. Raceland gaining 6 points on Heave, still a long way to go, but is back within 20 now. So it's definitely doable as we will move towards another round here on Throne. We're getting towards the end of Throne. Scandir is still closing in on that finals spot, on that finalist mode, and with that line at the start is still much quicker than anyone else. That line is really paying off.
Yeah. He's just shooting forward. I am surprised that Heave hasn't been going for it anymore. I mean, that is what caused him to get into 4th. Oh, yeah. From 32nd to 4th. But he just hasn't gone for it anymore. I don't know why.
It doesn't seem inconsistent necessarily, right? Like, it doesn't look massively difficult compared to the other ones. We didn't really see big mistakes from Heave going for it, just managed to use it consistently, but obviously is just more comfortable with the other line. That must be the case because, as you say, Heave just hasn't been going for that more aggressive, that quick line at the start that Scandir is using to such great effect.
Yeah, I mean, Heave right now overtaking Raceling on the quarter pipe jump to get 6 points away. And actually, Raceling crashing. Oh, that hurts. That definitely hurts. I mean, Raceling already must have felt bad about Heave overtaking, went for the risk to jump a bit further to the right to potentially still snipe away that second place, but instead is going to have to accept a 4th place for his troubles. And maybe it is this. Maybe it is that Heave doesn't worry too much that he feels like he needs to go for that line. Again, doesn't go for it, decides to go the regular route, and Scandir once again shooting forward with the way he is used to doing it, but a crash into the wall. I mean, I'll tell you what stops momentum: walls.
Yeah. That's true, as Raceland will also learn to his chagrin, finding another wall to crash into there, and Ice will clip. So 3 players making big mistakes so far in this round, and it leaves Heave completely uncontested in first place. And as you say there, Boney, and as Jaxie's pointed out in chat, yeah, honestly, Heave doesn't seem to need to be taking risks, has happily picked up plenty of second places here on Throne, even going for a line that he obviously feels is a little bit safer, and will even pick up a couple of wins as we leave the map as well. So you'd have to say you can't fault Heave on the choice of lines.
No, I mean, who am I indeed to say, yeah, no, you should drive like that because it's faster. Because, yeah, I mean, that's 10 points. Sure, in this case, Raceland, Ice, and Scandir, all 3 of the players made mistakes. But even then, with the way he's driving, it would be good enough for him to get second. Instead, he gets first place, 10 points going his way. Scandir, just a couple points away from getting into finalist
on the next round.
I have to do it on freezing, but here's freezing. This is what I mentioned at the start of the race as well, with Heave having shown quite some fragility, quite some vulnerability on this track. He is very comfortably in second place at the moment, so I think even if a couple rounds don't go his way, he won't be too worried about Ice and Raceland.
Well, so you say that, right? But let's say, for the sake of argument, that Scandir obviously finishes the next round. He just needs to finish it, doesn't matter what position, and manages to pick up finalist mode in the next round, wins the round, and Scandir is gone. All of a sudden, it's 10 points, and there's no Scandir in the way to block those 10 points. And if Heave then starts settling into seconds or even third places behind Raceland, and Raceland manages to pick up a couple of round wins, Raceland is going to start racking up points very, very quickly. Now, obviously, this is dependent on Raceland driving well on the map as well. It does depend on Scandir managing to lock in that finalist and then win very quickly. But there is a chance here that this could go very sideways for Heave very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, 5 rounds in that. I do definitely see your point, and it's, I mean, definitely not a situation where you can just take it easy. Scandir right there, fully crashing into the flagpole. So while he didn't even need the 10 points, he will not be one to contest the 10-pointer potential for Heave or Ice, as Ice actually overtakes right there. Ice and Heave both on the boosters. Heave needs to make sure he keeps on the balance beam, and does so indeed. Everybody making their way across. So Ice taking a second place that he has been looking for quite a bit, but Heave with another 10-pointer. He right now will be getting into the triple digits. 108 points, 12 points remaining. 78-61 on Raceland and Ice's side.
A long way down, unfortunately. 30 points behind Raceland at the moment from Heave. So Heave will probably at this point get a pretty clean run at finalist mode and a chance to close it out without too much pressure for a few rounds. But you do have to remember that, you know, the pressure mounts. The longer you're in finalist mode without locking it out, the more stressful it becomes. So Heave will be looking to get to that finalist mode quickly and will be looking to close up this match nice and quickly. Ideally, I think before we leave freezing, but is not going to be getting many points in this round. It looks like a clip there will leave Heave behind. Scandir also dropping now behind Ice and Raceland. So they're looking to maybe work together, maybe close the gap a little bit on the two cars from the other quarterfinal.
Yeah, but it could definitely be a bit of, you know, unofficial tag team setup because it is single elimination. Both of these players will potentially be eliminated from the tournament if they aren't able to get a top 2 spot in the match. Ice actually misses the balance beam. Skandir, fortunately for Ice, was far enough behind so that he wasn't able to close it out there. So Ice picking up 10 points. First 10-pointer for Ice there as well. We'll be very, very happy about that. But yeah, it's a big, big gap. And I think for Raceland and Ice, right, if he does keep performing as awkwardly as he did during the quarterfinals and right now also seemingly on freezing, yeah, he will get into finalist before both Ice and Raceland. But
they're in with
the
a
gap
chance
to get there. The denies will be, you know, not as tricky. I mean, look at that. Another mistake happening right there. This time before the quarter pipe. It's tough one for Heave.
Really is. And that third place in the last round for Heave was particularly bad because was on 108 points. And a second place, 6 points, would have just cut the gap down to 6. A second or first then would have been good enough to get Heave into finalists this round. But instead got a third and is now looking at a fourth and is really, really stretching that journey to finalist mode out as long as possible. Now, Skandir is in finalist mode and Skandir is in first place as well. This could be it. This could be locking in our first finalist, but Ice is gaining. Ice is very close behind. It'll come down to the finish line as Ice will be just behind. Skandir will miss that risky fin and Ice denies Skandir the win a little while longer.
It is a tricky 50-50 slide. I mean, any Tony Hawk Pro Skater Pro in here will make it happen. Ice seemingly getting the combos down. Getting another 10-pointer because of Skandir's early drop off the beam. So Skandir's still in the match, still racing. Heave at the same time, 115 points. Will need second place to get into finalists. This time makes it up the quarter pipe jump. And that's usually where things go wrong for him. After this, he tends to be a lot more clean. But yeah, Skandir still looking for a finalist into winner. This is his third time going for it, and he is in position to make it happen, it seems.
Has to be the longest run of rounds without a Skandir first place that we've seen all day as well, which, given that he's on finalist, a little bit unfortunate. Now this, surely the time when Skandir manages to close it out, is sitting comfortably now in first place, is a bit of gap back to Heave, and well, hang on a second, Heave does have decent speed, but it's not enough. Skandir so far in front, surely this time will set up correctly. There you go, Skandir finally gets it done, and Heave with a second place will now also move on to finalist mode.
It's coming in fourth with 4 points. Raceling on fourth place. It's gonna be quite a long trip, as Zellerate mentions. We are playing every position, so while he may be able to close it out in just one round, Raceling and Ice will be playing for their spots as well, which is always good to know, always good to keep in mind. So plenty of racing remaining on this semifinals, but it will be our last round on freezing.
Yeah, this will wrap things up. We will get to see Castle of Histo as well in this match, but Skandir won't. Has locked in that first place, is the first player confirmed into the final. The other semi-final still ongoing as well. No one qualified for that just yet. Never mind, the Annex just did, so we Annex locked in into the finals from that one. And we'll see now. Heave, not looking likely to manage to close it out here quickly, is gone. I believe, has Heave DNF'd or is Heave just really far behind?
I want to say he is just really far behind, but I mean, I think he DNF'd. I don't see his name.
I think he DNF'd, yeah. I mean, look, needs a win or nothing, so that far away. has just said, yeah, I wasn't catching anyway. So it'll be 10 points to Raceland, it'll be 2 to Ice, and we will go to Castle of Histo, with Heave needing a round win. And Heave did look very good on Castle of Histo, it has to be said.
Yes, yeah, he where Skandir on all the other tracks looked in Dom just like a force to be reckoned with. Heave on Castle of Histo was just throwing out some great speed, some great pace there. So I don't think this unless Ice and Raceland just find themselves getting every single one of these slow turns, because that is very much the key element of this track, slow turns down. I think he will be able to close it out. I mean, Ice and Raceland at the moment, I believe, are around 90 points. I don't have the points right in front of me, but
98 points at the moment for Raceland.
There you go. It's a lot of denying. That's a lot of denying. 120 points. Yeah. Tough hill to climb, but they are basically duoing right now to keep Heave from his finalist into winner, to make sure they stay in the tournament. And yeah, all to play for right now. Who's it going to be? Who's our second player?
It's going to be still close. Heave just needs one round. I do just want to point out a weird thing. I think it was nearly the exact same round that both Yannick's and Skandir made it to finalist and then won the round. Because it was like the third versus the fourth round on freezing that both of them did it on. So very impressive, as Heave, meanwhile, will overtake up this hill. And with the engine off, I think that's it. I think Heave is just out of sight at the moment, and that could just be our second place locked in right now.
Yeah, Ice unfortunately didn't get the turn down right, slowed down a bit, knew he didn't have enough speed for the engine off, so decided to go for the reset. And yeah, 3 seconds behind on a track like this is pretty much a checkpoint or two. Needs to stick the landing, goes up the railing, and makes their way on. No problem, no sweat. Heave makes it happen after a bit of an awkward freezing. Castle of Histo has been conquered by Heave, and with that, our second player to move on to the grand final from this match in Heave and Skandir. Looking phenomenal, honestly. Just they're gonna be hard pressed.
Liker was so close to Heave in that quarterfinal, and well, here you go. That one quarterfinal has now produced 2 grand finalists, Skandir and Heave, both looking incredibly well practiced and both looking very confident on the day. Skandir definitely with the edge, but we will see how they do in the finals. As we say, Yannick's confirmed has made the final. Artis in that other semi-final is also currently on finalist mode as they battle for second place over there, and we'll see if they do manage to pull that off. A reminder that there is a stream going on of that. Yannick's is streaming that. I believe Marius might still be streaming that match as well. But for now, no, Yannick's has started watching this match. So, well, welcome Yannick's to this stream as well. Who knows what's going on in that other match at the moment, as we will see Raceland versus Ice battle it out for third place and just a finishing position at this point. Yeah, it's, I mean, in terms of points as well, both players very close to one another. So third place could go either way at this point. Raceland does pick up the 10 points right here. Ice on second. This is the final map in this circulation, right? After this, we're going to go back to the first map of the match, which was Red Forest, where Raceland looked great, if not for the fact that Skandir and Heave kept overtaking him at the end. I so definitely had maybe some Raceland's third place to get. Yeah. Could well be Raceland's to lose maybe at this point as well. Is sitting a little way in front of Ice still on the points too. Just looking to maybe pick up 1 or 2 more rounds here on Castle of Histo. It's going to be a tight race this time around, both of them within a couple of tenths of each other around these corners. But as you say, distances are deceiving on this track, as Ice will race away from Raceland on this one. Raceland, I'm not sure, even had the speed to get up that hill, so it may have been a forced respawn for Raceland. Nope, is still here. It's very close behind, in fact. I mean, this is, I suppose, one of the benefits of having a track with these low speed turns, that if you do end up crashing, there is still that potential to barely make up enough speed. Only thing Raceland at this point can hope for is that Ice does make a mistake, because even though Raceland did catch up a tiny bit there, it won't be enough unless, which I was about to say as it did happen.
the beam ends up being a bit too narrow for Ice, and it was, in fact, that case. So Raceland getting into finalist with that. Ice 107 points. Needs double denies on Raceland, so it could be over in just a flash, but at the same time, if Ice does manage to deny twice, we will be going to Red Forest to close things out.
Yeah, and it is a better start for Ice. Raceland a little bit slow through the water means that the gap is already up to nearly a full second. Good bug slide from Ice as well, holding that speed. Raceland a little bit slow out of it. Ice looking very good to deny for at least one round here. It needs to be 3 back-to-back wins, including a win on the first round of Red Forest for Ice to prevent Raceland from taking third place.
Well, great speed from Raceland there, though. Just far more speed getting into the engine off bridge.
Oh, dear.
But what was that? It's not really going the way he expected. This car decided to just not flip. Just decided, now I'm good. I'm just going to land on my nose and, you know, you do you. So Ice just left to get 10 points of his own just like that. This time around, even if he does manage to clip the side of the beam here, he will be able to get 10 points, and with a 101.7, plenty of time for him to get to 10. And I mean, yeah, you can see no finish coming in from Raceland because all you need is 10 points, and he didn't get him. He did not get him.
Did not get him. That's 1 of 3 for Ice. Needs 2 more wins now. One of them here on Castle Visto, and then the final one on Red Forest. And that one may be a tall order because it has been it looked like a bit of a struggle back on Red Forest for Ice at the start of this match. But this is another great start on Castle of Histo.
Yeah, Ice looking to perhaps make this... Well, he's been stuck in 4th place for pretty much the entirety of the match, so I think being able to eke out a 3rd place in the end would be nice, if not for the fact that the bridge got in the way of his dreams. Raceland does manage to cross the bridge uncontested, and with the gap being 4.5 seconds, it would take a miracle for Ice to keep Raceland from closing things out in his favor, securing a 3rd place in the semifinals of the Mini RPG of the Week Season 3 finales.
Yeah.
Either way,
and,
yeah.
I will confirm that in the other semi-final, it came down to the wire, but Artis has managed to close it out to lock in 2nd place, with Wallagen just behind on 116 points when Artis finally managed to pick up that win in finalist mode. So, very impressive performance in both semi-finals. Ice will come 4th in this one as Raceland manages to lock in 3rd place. And our grand finals then, Boney, is locked in. Yannick's and Artis coming from the top half of the bracket. Scandir and Heave coming from the bottom half of the bracket. God, it's going to be a good finals.
Oh yeah, it is. It's been a joy to watch so far. I mean, I suppose when it comes to my predictions, I managed to get 3 out of the 4 right. Unfortunately, Ice, being one of my picks, was unable to get on true. We're able to get into 1st place in the rounds during the quarterfinals. This time around, 4th place is all we can offer for him. But yeah, Skandir and Heave were looking great. Would have been interesting to see Liker, as you mentioned, in the other match. But, I mean, there's no way to really predict these types of things, right? Yeah. Things go the way they go. Skandir, once again, just looking great. And I think it's very much a question for Artis and Yannick's, because we have not seen their POVs. If they are able to match the pace that Skandir has been setting up, because if he is driving the way he's driving, then I'm hard-pressed to say who else is going to take it.
I can't back anyone in good faith other than Skandir at the moment. He's just incredibly quick. Now, with that said, Yannick's, for example, in the last map of Season 3, which was Red Forest, did manage to beat Skandir out in the final round of that. 13,000s in the final round to do it. Now, Skandir definitely had the pace in that match, but Yannick's is kind of able to match that at times. Artis is also incredibly quick. Now, Heave, I definitely think, is a bit of a long shot. We've now seen him match up against Skandir twice and come out lacking both times. But there is the possibility that one of these players coming through from the other side of the bracket does have a pretty good match here against Skandir, and it's going to be reverse cup, so we are going to get down to 2 players at the end battling it out mano y mano for the title of Mini RPG of the Week Season 3 finale winner. God, it's gonna be so good, Boney. It's gonna be so good.
Hey, this is what we were looking for. This is what we were waiting for. I mean, over a nice long season, right? Having these 5 maps to come in, and right now 4 players remaining to determine who was the best of the season. But alongside that as well, you know, a nice little prize to be given out to each of these players to, you know, reward their efforts, reward their speed, their dominance that they have shown over the rest of the playing field. It's going to be an interesting one. I mean, I cannot put anyone else but Skander at first place based on what we've seen, but we've only seen part of the story, right? We've only seen one side. We haven't seen the other, and I'm hoping the other side is going to enlighten and perhaps surprise us along the way to give us a amazing grand finale.